What's up, A to Z Sports Titan Game Day Live, the post-game show as the Titans sneak by and get to 6-2 on the season and help bury the Colts to a 3-5 record as Randy Bullock hits another game-winning field goal for the Titans. We are live here from Mill Creek Brewing Company in Nolensville, Tennessee. Zach, pretty incredible game. I mean, it was wild to see how long it took, but the Titans back and forth, down 14-0. Then got up 21-17. Then the Elijah Molden interception touchdown. Thought the Titans got it. Kevin Byard, defensive pass interference, sets up a game-tying touchdown at the end of regulation. Kevin Byard redeems himself by the interception in overtime, and Randy Bullock drills a field goal in OT, and the Titans are 6-2. Your initial thoughts here?
Never a doubt, right?
Yep, that's right.
Never a doubt. Wow, that was a great game, and that was back and forth. It was a battle, and the Titans made their fair share of mistakes. Carson Wentz and the Colts made their fair share of mistakes, but the biggest mistake was Carson Wentz, and really it was the play by Byard. I mean, really unbelievable. The fact that he was able to read that pass. I mean, he read it the entire way.
Yeah, he did.
And the offense, A.J. Brown's block in the back set him back. A.J. Brown's catch got him back in field goal position. And Bullock, hats off to Bullock because he drilled the game-winning field goal when they needed him the most. The Titans, wow. I got a little overzealous. I thought that Carson Wentz pick six put the nail in the coffin.
Right.
It took a lot longer than that. But, man, Titans moved to 6-2. The Colts 3-5. The Texans lost, and the Jags are no good. That's big. That is big time for the Tennessee Titans in their path to be the number one seed in the AFC. That is the goal of the rest of the season, is to get the bye. You've got tie breaks over the Bills. You got tie breaks over the Chiefs. The Bengals lost to the Jets today.
So now that the Titans lost to the Jets is kind of wiped out in that conversation.
Right? And so the stars have aligned. But, man, this was it was an AFC South, head-to-head battle today, and we saw it in overtime. That was a great game.
Look, the Colts are a pretty good football team, and I feel like I've been right about Carson Wentz this whole time. Carson Wentz's best play is the lollipop deep ball, hoping for a pass interference, in which he did that twice today and got 83 yards out of penalties, especially the one on Kevin Byard there at the end. I mean, it's just a really gutty win.
You were right there, but and fortunately for Titans fans, we were both wrong in our pregame prediction.
That's
we both
true.
thought that the Colts were going to win this game. They didn't. The Titans showed grit like they have throughout the course of the season. Man, Tannehill played tough. Derrick Henry, it looks like something, they checked out his foot early on in that game. Didn't seem like he was 100%. But this entire team, without Julio Jones, without their starting middle linebacker and Rashaan Evans, they fought hard, and they got the win, and a big win at that.
It was a huge win. So let's get this thing going officially. Again, welcome into the A to Z Sports Titan Game Day Live with our post-game show reaction. Our sponsors here on Titan Game Day Live throughout the entire season, NashvillePowersports.com. If you want a brand new custom golf cart, that's the place to go, NashvillePowersports.com, to make anything street legal, 2-seater, 4-seater, or 6-seater for the whole family. They've got you. Also, BetMGM, BetMGM.com is where to go. Download the app. Use our code ATOZ Sports for a risk-free bet up to $1,000 with your first bet and your first deposit. On Monday, Zach, I saw on BetMGM the Titans' money line was plus 100. I say go jump on it. It's a perfect opportunity to use that risk-free bet on the Titans plus money on the money line, and that hit today. It took OT, but it did. But I think, we look at the last 3 weeks that the Titans have had of beat the Bills Monday night, underdog, beat the Chiefs on Sunday last week at Nissan Stadium in a blowout fashion where you kind of wake everybody up to you. And then you have to go to Indianapolis on Halloween, and the Colts have been your boogeyman ever since you moved to the state of Tennessee, and get this win while they're down. That is a big deal for the fan base, a big deal for the franchise, for that locker room, for the coaching staff to be 6-2 at this point and really control your destiny. You control where you end up in the AFC standings, and you bury your division rival.
The Titans won the AFC South today, in my opinion, and they halted any momentum that the Indianapolis Colts had. They had won 3 out of the last 4 games. They had played good football, and the Titans stopped that. They got to win when they needed to get a win, and everybody in that franchise at that facility knows what today's win means and what that can do to really clear up the AFC as you go through the next, half of the season.
Right. Yeah. And so you're right, because we'll start to see what the AFC does. The Browns lose today, and we'll talk about how the AFC playoff picture looks, I'm sure, moving throughout the rest of the week. But for the Tennessee Titans today, you beat the Colts for the second time. So you sweep the Colts this season. And the first time you beat the Colts, you had 3 turnovers, and it was an ugly type of game. Today, you had some turnovers, two pretty bad ones. And then you weren't doing that great offensively. It was ugly. Derrick Henry is clearly banged up. He had his worst rushing performance probably dating back to the season opener a year ago in Denver. Derrick Henry was not doing much today whatsoever. Really, it was A.J. Brown and Ryan Tannehill. Those two were the offense for the Titans today, and you get some key plays at key moments by the defense that really bring it all together for you to escape Indianapolis.
Well, and the other thing that they must clean up, this is a great win. I do not want to diminish that. The penalties.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say while I was going through all the bad stuff.
It's horrific. 11 penalties for 161 yards. Oh, man. Now, the Colts weren't much better. They had 9 for 75, but that 161 were those 2 chunk plays that allowed the Colts to get back into the game.
Well, let's think about this. It's the 41-yard pass interference on Amani Hooker that set up a touchdown, right? Then you had the 42-yard pass interference on Byard to send it to overtime with that touchdown. Then Jeffrey Simmons had the late hit without the whistle on a 3rd down stop where the Titans could have really pulled away from that. I believe the Titans in the lead at that point, 21-17, if I remember correctly. But that and then the Chris Jackson hold later on converted a 3rd down. So pretty crazy that the Titans were able
to overcome that.
Their own mistakes and some questionable calls. Because, look, not all – the Jeffrey Simmons thing, was Jeffrey Simmons being smart? Probably not. But, again, if there's no whistle called, then as a defensive player, you're expecting that offensive ball carrier to keep his legs moving. And you're not going to stop until he stops moving his legs or the whistle blows, because you don't want to Matthias Kiwanuka yourself when he let Vince Young out of a sack and allowed Vince Young to run for a 1st down. Remember that? Back in 2008 or 2009, whatever it was. So I don't blame Jeffrey Simmons for that. I just think this game was poorly officiated and also sloppy by the Titans and the Colts at several times.
Yeah, and look, you can't blame Carson Wentz for throwing the ball up and using the pass interference calls to his advantage.
I hate that.
Well, you can hate it, but
that's the best thing Carson Wentz does.
It's a good strategy.
It's a good strategy to overcome your shortcomings.
Well, no, the Titans cornerbacks need to learn to turn around. They did not do a good job of turning their head.
Sure, but that's
Austin. That's the one thing that you have to do as a corner on deep routes is all you have to do is turn your head around. That cues the referee not to pull the flag as quickly as they did today.
Look, the PI call on Hooker was questionable. Now, whenever you see that play out, because Hooker turned his head twice, couldn't find the ball, and it was quick looks. And so, I would expect that to be called. The Kevin Byard pass interference was blatant pass interference. He basically wrapped his arms around the wide receiver, both of them, in the end zone there too. So, and again, the Titans were able to overcome bad mistakes and some questionable officiating throughout that game, which was a big deal. And getting to 6 and now becoming 3-0 in the AFC South, and your 3 remaining games are 1 Jags game at home, and then you go to the Texans and you get the Texans at home. The Texans are terrible. So this should be a 6-0 AFC South season.
Yeah, well, let's get to our main feature of our postgame show, and that is the one-word game. What is one word to describe this Titans win? We got a lot of people watching on our stream. We are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube and Twitch. We are live here from Mill Creek Brew. I want a beer on that kick.
You want a beer?
Yeah.
Did you make a side bet?
Bet the bartender a beer. So, look, I'm going to have a Mill Creek beer here. right after the post-game show and enjoy Randy Bullock's leg because that helped me out.
There you go. There you go. But before we get to all of your answers for one word to describe this Titans win over the Colts, let me tell you guys about Nashville Power Sports and NashvillePowerSports.com. If you're looking for a golf cart for your family, for your business, whatever it might be, NashvillePowerSports.com is the place to go. They customize any part of the golf cart. They have one here at Mill Creek Brewery throughout this Titan season while we are here as well. But they can make it a 2-seater, a 4-seater, a 6-seater. Anything can be street legal. They've got it all in stock, ready to go, and up to you because it's locally owned and operated. They care about their customer service and their product. So NashvillePowerSports.com is where to go check them out.
Lots of words, which is good, piling in on our stream. One word to describe the Titans' win today against the Colts as Tennessee beats Indy 34-31 in overtime. Titans move to 6-2. The Colts fall to 1-3 at home and 3-5 overall. That is a tough scene. But let's go to the comments. Gritty from Brian. We've got a lot of stressfuls rolling in from Josh. Gutsy, Lucky. I see a couple of Luckies. King and Brandon says
You can't say that's lucky.
Frank says Lucky.
How can you say that's lucky?
Chris says resilient. Jarrell goes with sweep. The Titans have swept the Indianapolis Colts this season. Resilient coming in from Lloyd. Got another Lucky from Brian. Sloppy from a couple of people. It was sloppy. We talked about all of the penalties for 161 penalty yards. That yikes, but they did win. Relieved from Larry, persistent coming in from Quay. A lot of resiliency from this team. Austin, what is your one word to describe the Titans' win over the Colts?
Tough. It's simple. It's not like a great vocab word, but tough. I mean, that was a tough win for the Tennessee Titans because your bread and butter, your best thing going, Derrick Henry, couldn't get going because of whatever type of reason. You got down 14-0 in that hole in the first quarter, which you dug out of. And that shows toughness from that. Ryan Tannehill was getting smacked late in that game and was able to stay in it, make some key plays with his arms and with his legs to help you set up that. The defense, they just marched down the field several times with Carson Wentz, but they were tough in overcoming the Colts offense, beating them plays, and also tough in forgetting the mistakes they made when it comes to the pass interference and other penalties. So tough all around by the Titans to win this game because the Colts are a tough team as well. And that wasn't an easy win whatsoever. The Colts were favored by 3. So what do you know? 3 straight wins as underdogs, as somebody put it in the chat. 3 of the media darlings in the NFL, the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Colts all go down back to back to back at the hands of the Titans.
So your word was tough?
Tough. Simple as that.
I'm going simple as well, and I'm going to go to one of my favorite movies that is a slapstick comedy, and that is Walk Hard. It was a hard win. That was tough down the stretch. They had to battle. They had to overcome adversity. That was a hard AFC South win. Like, that was earned, not given. That was, I saw a roller coaster roll in on the comments, but I felt like Mike Vrabel, I felt like stayed calm in moments that were very tense, right?
I agree.
And so he didn't get too aggressive. Well, and we saw early in his head coaching career for the Titans, very aggressive. I felt like if this was a couple of years ago, Vrabel would have gone for it on more of those 4th downs. But what did he do? He understood that his defense was playing well. It wasn't playing great, but they were getting pressure to Wentz. And as the comment said, when Wentz is pressured, he freaks out. He becomes reckless. He makes mistakes. We saw that. So Vrabel stayed true to the path, and he let his defense play. He punted the football when he didn't get first downs. I thought he coached it was a well-coached game. And that was a hard AFC South win that obviously we know the implications. And the Titans division crown, I think I'm going to crown them early, but that's when this game was. It's
too early to say the Titans won the division, but what were the odds? I'm going to go to our website, AtoZSports.com, and I believe Adam Holt wrote the article about that. I want to say the Titans, according to the New York Times playoff simulator, the Titans should have literally like a
97?
96% chance to win?
I thought it was 97.
Let's see if I can pull it up.
And that's why it's so meaningful. And the fans know this. It's tough to win in Indianapolis, especially when their backs were against the wall like they were. That season didn't start out the way that I think Frank Reich wanted. With Quentin Nelson with the injury, Carson Wentz with the bad ankles, they lost 2 straight to the Rams and Seahawks, and they started out rocky. Mm-hmm. Now the Titans are taking advantage of that with that win today.
Corey says, stop it, Austin. The division is out. So according to New York Times playoff calculator, the Titans' odds to win the division is 97%.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So, I mean, it's basically locked up. Now,
so now you shift your focus, and this is something that the Titans have obviously been doing on the back end of things. If you're the Titans, you now shift your focus, and this is something that Peyton Manning in his career always had to deal with is, are you going to play really hard or are you going to strategically get to the playoffs? They've obviously shown us with Julio Jones, they're going to strategize with his health. You're going to have to be smart because you have to stay healthy for the stretch run of the season, but also the stretch run of the playoffs because, you know, with an AFC South division crown, you're going to make the playoffs. That's how the system works. So moving forward, they got a lot to think about and a lot to plan. But well-coached, hard victory in overtime. And, Austin, I don't think that we've talked about this enough on the postgame show.
Okay.
Randy.
Yeah.
Golf clap to Randy because he stepped up in a big way when this team has had kicking woes. This franchise has had kicking woes over the last couple of years. He's been solid. The Jets, that was a tough situation to be in, but he was solid in Seattle and solid today to come in and kick the game-winning field goal. Okay. And you see in the NFL a lot of missed extra points. Bullock has been true. He's been solid.
Yes, let's take some time to talk about Carson Wentz, just because I feel like he is a very pivotal and very, let's see, what's the word? He's a very, I can't find the word at this point right now live here on the show, but he's a very, people hate him. People like him. People think he's good.
I don't know many people that like him.
A lot of people think that Carson Wentz is pretty good, but polarizing. Thank you. There's the word I was looking for. Polarizing Carson Wentz. I think Carson Wentz is terrible. People think Carson Wentz is good. He throws more interceptable passes that don't get intercepted than anybody that I see in the NFL. Like Carson Wentz, like people were answering the one word to describe this game, this win over the Colts, as the Titans got lucky. Carson Wentz gets lucky like 5 times a game that he just either throws it up for a DPI or he just lobs it up there and it's not intercepted. Carson Wentz isn't any good, and the Indianapolis Colts traded away a first-round draft pick for this guy?
Well, not yet. He has to play 75% of the snaps this season. That is the unique caveat to that trade.
I know.
So, look, he's well on his way. He's played all of the snaps essentially up into this point, and he's gritted out a lot.
That's my point.
A lot of things.
If he's played all the snaps through 8 games, through all the double sprained ankles and foot surgeries that he's had, he's going to keep playing. He's not like the Colts aren't going to bench Carson Wentz. Now, they might try to get cute and say, well, there's 4 games left in the season, and the Colts are like 5 and whatever, and they're not going to make the playoffs. They're out of it. So they sit Carson Wentz so they don't give up a first-round pick. But Carson Wentz, they thought it's okay to give away a first-round pick for Carson Wentz because he can make this team elevated to a playoff contender and Super Bowl contender in the AFC when his best play is literally throwing it up in the air, hoping for a defensive penalty.
And I like Tina's word. And this is we went simple. Keep it simple, stupid on the one word challenge. Tina, I think wins this. She goes miraculous because it really kind of was. They had their ups and downs. And look, I thought that the Colts could have gone for a 2-point conversion before overtime to see if Frank Reich really wanted to get testy with it and try to win the game then. That was a big win over Carson Wentz, who, you know, now that you've gotten the Colts out of the way twice and you've beaten them twice, you don't really have to worry about
it. No, you don't have to worry about him at all. And the other weird thing about the Colts is their play call selection. Carson Wentz threw the ball 51 times today. He threw the ball 51 times. Like, why did Jonathan Taylor only have 16 carries? Why did Naheem Hines only have 1 carry? Like, it makes sense to
Well,
have.
a few of those carries were called back because of penalties.
No, I know that. But like, literally, they called, if you count the sacks and you count Carson Wentz's 3 scrambles, so they threw the ball 55 times. 55 times they decided to call a pass play and only running the ball 17 times by choice. Like, what are the Colts doing, especially when Jonathan Taylor was having success early on? It makes no sense of what they did, but I just feel like that's Carson Wentz. He finds himself in a situation where he's having to throw the ball 50 times and try to come back and win a game. They were up 14-0, and they threw the ball. They called 55 pass plays. That's egregious by the coaching staff and the quarterback.
So that is on one side. Let's go to the other side in Ryan Tannehill. We do this every post-game show as we broadcast live for away games right here at Mill Creek Brewing. Got a great online audience right now. Let's grade Ryan Tannehill's performance today. I know you'll go through the stat line.
Yep.
17 got beat up. He got hit, got sacked 3 times, but he got hit, but stayed in there, stayed the course, and was able to put the Titans in position to win this football game.
Yes, and before I go through Ryan Tannehill's box stats and we get your grades and our grades on Ryan Tannehill, Zach, tell everybody what's happening next Sunday night here at Mill Creek Brewing Company.
Ooh, that is
Sunday night, baby.
That is going to be special. Now, the Rams took care of business over the Texans today. The Titans took care of business against the Colts, and we're going to take care of business on Sunday night right here at Mill Creek. It's going to be a great atmosphere, live in prime time. The Titans don't get a lot of these Sunday night football games, so when they do, got to take advantage of. We talk about the MVP race constantly with Derrick Henry. This is another time to showcase his skills. If he gets healthy, we'll find out this week what maybe he tweaked. But Sunday Night Football, live from Mill Creek Tap Room right here in Nolensville, it's going to be a great atmosphere, a great experience on Sunday Night Football.
What'd you say real quick about the menu today?
Oh, well, I'm struggling. I'll tell you why. Their burger, and I've said this, their burger is the best burger in Nashville. And I see people order other menu items, and I don't think I'll get the opportunity because I'm going to order the burger every time.
But every time somebody walks by our table from the food truck to the tap room,
Wraps, wings.
you see it and you're like, God, that looks good.
Man.
But you're never going to go off of the burger.
No, I stick with what works. I'm kind of like Derrick Henry in that sense. I feed the king, and the king is that smash burger right here at Mill Creek.
All right, guys, so grading Ryan Tannehill's performance, I'll go through the box score real quick. Ryan Tannehill today against the Colts was 23 of 33 passing for 265, 3 touchdown passes. He did throw 2 interceptions. The Titans got a reset of downs on the second interception because the interceptor fumbled after getting hurt. Tannehill was also sacked 3 times. Here's the big one. 2 carries for 26 yards, 13 yards each. Those were 2 big carries in the game where Ryan Tannehill was able to make something happen with his legs. One of them was on a 4th down. One of them earlier kept a drive together as well. So what are you seeing from the quarterback grades on Ryan Tannehill today, Zach?
A lot of C pluses and B minuses. We've got Brad with a B minus, Dom with a B plus. Our guy Tank Sinatra, man, love that name.
He's becoming your favorite person.
Yeah, C minus right there. Paul with a C, Devin with an A minus, so a little bit higher, but mostly C pluses in the C and B range. You know, we do this every game, so we see really good performances from Ryan Tannehill, and we see sometimes subpar performances, gritty performance from Ryan Tannehill, as you said, those rushing stats, right?
Yep.
Had
2 for 26.
Had 50 plus the last time they played earlier this season. And I felt like Todd Downing put him in good positions to use his mind and his legs.
I mean, there's
right?
a couple Todd Downing calls that I can nitpick, but those are like the first 2 calls of the overtime I thought were strange. It led to the Titans being in 3rd and 13 where they couldn't convert, like a 10-yard pass that AJ was short. But again, like I think that's nitpicking there with Todd Downing. I did see somebody, there's some C's. I saw somebody else, Ty, says that Ryan Tannehill is proving to be a C yet again. I don't know how you think Ryan Tannehill.
Well, his first half was probably that.
And that's exactly what I was going to say, because this exact post-game show segment last week. We were talking about how Ryan Tannehill out of the gates was phenomenal against the Chiefs. He, in the first half on play action alone, he was 7-7 for 140 and ran for a touchdown. And then in the second half, they didn't have to do anything. So we gave Ryan Tannehill, I think, a B+ in that game against the Chiefs. You have to give him credit for his early good play, and you have to give him credit for his clutch play at the end. Because there were some situations.
But you have to discredit some of the interceptions.
Yeah, the first interception, I don't know what he was thinking, because it was four guys. And look, it was a good defensive play because the defender who picked it off peeled off of A.J. Brown because he saw what was coming, peeled off of A.J. and undercut the route to Marcus Johnson for the interception. The second pick was just stupid, bad. You're getting sacked. You just got to eat that football. Now, it ended up working out for the Titans in a weird, strange way. But Ryan Tannehill, there was a stretch there where he was hitting A.J. Brown in stride at the first down yard marker like every other play. It was a 3rd and 8, bang, A.J. completion, first down. And the ball was right on the money. There was one throw to A.J. that got called back because of hold, I think, on Ben Jones, that could not have been a better throw. It was on time, accurately in the exact right spot, and it had the perfect trajectory over A.J.'s shoulder out of the reach of the defender on the sideline. And I'm like, at the sticks for a first down, called off for a penalty. But he was really good when the Titans absolutely needed him. Ryan Tannehill helped the Titans get into the 14-0 hole. So you do have to grade against that. But calling that a C performance is just not right.
I'm not going to go C. My final grade for Ryan Tannehill today is a B-. I've seen him play better. He's in the B section. But that interception, and they call it a pep rally interception, I thought that was good in the comments.
Yeah.
Because it was like a pep rally. There were
jackpot, just throw it up.
4 blue jerseys around that pick. I think a B-. The good thing is, like Carson Wentz stat line, it looked completely different, right? Like 51 attempts. That was not Ryan Tannehill. They kept him 33 attempts in an overtime type game. That probably sounds about right.
Yeah.
Especially with a running football team like the Titans are. So I give him a B- today. I don't think that he did good enough to get into the B or B+ range. But because they won, he's definitely not in the C range for me.
No, I give him a B. I think Ryan Tannehill made several plays down the stretch of the game that helped. There were a lot of things going against Ryan Tannehill. Like Dylan Radins whiffed on a pass rusher that got Tannehill crushed. When they were setting up a screen. So that's not on Tannehill. That's on a rookie offensive lineman who's there with him. MB says, A to Z, what's the lowest grade you've given Tannehill since he's arrived? We've given him some low grades. Now, Marcus Mariota had grades all over the board. But the Ryan Tannehill grades, we've given him C- before. But the thing is, he hasn't been bad. That's the point, MB. Is it since Tannehill's taken over as the starter, when has he been awful bad? Like awful.
There's only been a couple. Talk about bad play. Carolina a few years ago, the Green Bay game wasn't good last year.
The Green Bay game wasn't on Tannehill.
But
Tannehill was the one who was actually putting up points.
No, well, and that's what I think makes him such a good quarterback is that he doesn't continuously put he's a risk taker, but he's not like a Carson Wentz risk taker, right? I think he's calculated. He trusts his receivers, and he has Derrick Henry on his side, right? That always helps. Just in general, he throws slants well to A.J. Brown. He threw nice
he throws everything well to A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown had 10 catches and 11 targets.
And you need more of that.
10 catches for 11 targets, and he didn't have a target in the entire first quarter. A.J. didn't. And so that was a lot of it was midway through the second quarter throughout the end of the game. So
we talked about that in the halftime show.
Right.
More A.J. Brown, please. And that happened, and the Titans won because of it. The Titans were leading because of it. I felt like A.J. Brown is the juice maker. Without Julio Jones, you got to find it somewhere. The real true test, because I don't know what the heck is going on with Julio Jones, who's going to be that other guy besides A.J. and besides Derrick Henry and maybe besides Ryan Tannehill's legs? You saw a little bit more from Swaim at the beginning, and then you saw you've seen play, but there hasn't really been the emergence.
Well, you know who it is.
Who?
McNichols. That's been your guy. And you're shaking your head at it. Jeremy McNichols has been the secondary weapon all year long.
He's made some big third downs.
Huge. He's done it in a lot of different games. He's been consistently there and available. He's not hurt. He's there. And he's done – he did get hurt one game a couple of games ago. I believe that was the Bills game. But McNichols has been reliable and really good catching the football on third downs and moving the chains when you need him. He's the second leading receiver today. 3 catches for 33 yards on 3 targets.
Yeah.
Swaim had 4 for 23 and a touchdown. Nick Westbrook, Akine, and Michael Pruitt each had 2 catches. NWI had the score. But it's been McNichols. Whenever it wasn't AJ, McNichols has been the most reliable weapon outside of Julio Jones. Because Marcus Johnson, 1 catch, he had 5 targets. Chester Rogers had 0 catches on 1 target. And it's definitely not Anthony Ferkser.
No, and look, Ryan Tannehill's stat line does not look good for the season overall. 7 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. But
you have to add 3 touchdowns to that.
But you also have to do that and also
10,
understand that Derrick Henry stirs the drink. In situations where I feel like usual teams would use their quarterbacks to throw, this team uses their running back to run. I have a question I'm going to save for tomorrow morning about Derrick Henry. So this is a little bit of a tease, and I've been paying my teases off all week with deception as that key word, as we talked about last week. But tomorrow, I really have got a good topic about Derrick Henry and a little bit of a question mark because they were looking at his foot in the first half.
Right.
It didn't seem right for the rest of the game. Curious to see how they handle him. But regardless, the Titans had a massive win to move to 6-2. And by my calculations, due to tie breaks and wins, the Titans are the best team in the AFC.
I am looking at it right now. The Titans are the number 1 seed in the AFC as it stands right now. Number 1.
How do you like them apples?
How do you like it a lot? Because the Titans are the only 6-2 team. The Raiders are 5-2. The Ravens are also 5-2. And the Bills 5-2. And you got the tiebreaker. Falling out of that, Cincinnati now at 5-3.
And Vasco is not wrong. They should be 7-1. Now, the Jets
or
did win
6-1-1.
Yeah, right?
6-1-1 would have been better.
I don't know. I hate ties. But statistically,
it would have been better. But again, still 6 wins. And this is what I think this is impressive because everybody watching this and us two would have been totally fine if the Titans would have split the Bills and Chiefs, beat the Colts, lose the Rams. They have a chance to go 4-0. Now, the Rams are really good, and the Titans are very banged up. And we'll talk about this game a lot later on throughout the week, about Sunday Night Football, about what all this means and how important is it. But the Titans are real as long as they can stay healthy. But they're 6-2. And in the first 8 games of the season, they have 9 games left. They've already buried their biggest rival in the AFC South, the Colts, who are toast. They are done. Less than a 4% chance to win the division. Good night, Colts. Over. You've got 2 key tiebreakers over the 2 teams in your conference championship game last season and your position as the number 1 seed in your conference right now. That's all been accomplished in the first 8 weeks of the season, and you've been so injured. You've got 18 dudes on IR. Derrick Henry's bothered by something. Julio Jones is week to week, basically. And you're sitting here, and Bud Dupree's not even fully healthy yet. By the way, Harold Landry, 8.5 sacks on the season throughout 8 games. Pay that guy his money.
Somebody will. Oh, well, and that brings 2 points. To that, the tough part is they got all this good mojo. They're about to face probably one of the top 2 teams in the NFL. And that is next week on primetime. Come here, watch the game right here at Mill Creek Tap Room in Nolensville. We're going to be here broadcasting live, watching the game, hanging out, eating burgers, drinking beer. It's going to be fun. But that's going to be a tall task to go to LA with all the things happening that you just listed and continue on prime time. The other thing that I do want to say, and I want to circle back to our pregame show. What were the 3 keys to this game?
Pressure, protection, Derrick Henry.
I thought Derrick Henry was okay. He was good, not great. I thought.
I mean, he averaged 2.4 yards a carry.
The protection, but again, him as a threat, as we talked about, you also have to.
I didn't see it.
Give value to that.
It did not. Derrick Henry's impact today was not as impactful as he was against the Chiefs last week.
I think that's fair. So you've got Derrick Henry. That wasn't the key. The second one, protection. Okay. I know Tannehill was sacked 3 times.
Yeah,
that was. But
I think they kind of whiffed on all 3.
I disagree. Well, I thought pressure.
Yeah,
that's what I picked.
Yeah, that's what I picked as well. Right? Like that's the one thing they actually gathered the 3.
And they rose to the occasion. And even though Carson Wentz wasn't sacked a bunch of times, that pressure doesn't necessarily mean or equal sacks. Pressure means disruption. And I thought a lot of defenders were able to disrupt Carson Wentz and what he wanted to do and make him play reckless. When he plays reckless, bad things happen. And at the end of the game, he played reckless and bad things happen.
I just think Carson Wentz plays, bad things happen. Like ugly things happen when Carson Wentz is a quarterback.
I know you don't like it.
I don't think he's any good. I think he's very much overrated by so many national talking heads. Carson Wentz isn't that good. He threw the ball 51 times, Zach. He averaged 4.5 yards per attempt.
We have established that.
51 pass attempts, and he only threw for 230 yards. 4.5 yards an attempt. Well, Tannehill had 8 yards an attempt.
And what I'm saying is I do think I will credit the defense for over the last now 3 weeks.
Yeah.
They have gotten good defensive pressure, and that has been, I feel like, a key missing for this entire defense for some time.
Ty gives Tannehill a C grade. What the heck do you give Carson Wentz?
Okay, we get it.
I'm just saying.
We get it. Austin.
I'm just saying. Like they both had 3 touchdowns and 2 picks. Tannehill threw for more yards on 18 less attempts. It's just Carson Wentz is not very good, and the Colts are married to him. Right? Which is a good thing for you Titans fans.
Right? Houston's got its problems have not traded Deshaun Watson yet. The Jags, they got a long road of rebuilding. And as you are happy to say, the Colts have Carson Wentz.
I'm just yeah. And so Ethan Ramsey asked, is Wentz better than Rivers last year? No! And I said that right when they traded for him. This is a downgrade from old Phillip Rivers last year. All right, guys, we're out of here on this Sunday. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of the football. We'll be back Monday morning. Zach and I will be at 8 o'clock here on Facebook and YouTube. What's up?
Austin, I have some good news.
What's that?
You won't have to worry about Carson Wentz the rest of the season. I know. I'm back. Well, I will. Well, I feel pretty good. I bet MGM. I have a bet the Titans will be first and the Colts will be second in the division at plus 150. I feel great about it. I'm going to win some money off of Carson Wentz being mediocre. There you go. There you go. All right, guys. Hope you have a great rest of your Sunday. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 8. Buck Rising live tonight, A to Z Sports Primetime, right here on these channels you're watching on at 8 o'clock tonight. He's up there in Indy right now in the post-game coverage. So make sure you're following us on Facebook and a big-time important follow on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel today. Make sure you do that as our Twitter live streams have just been kind of goofed up the last little bit. And I have seen that Jameis Winston is out for the Saints right now. Yeah, enter Trevor Siemian. Ugh.
Yes.
Titans know about Trevor Siemian.
Yeah, and the Titans have the Saints on the schedule here in a couple weeks. So we'll monitor that. But hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Sundays. We'll see you later. Thanks a bunch again to NashvillePowersports.com. Obviously, Mill Creek Brewing Company, the mainstay where we do our home game broadcast, and BetMGM.
Ooh, there go those burgers. Man, those are some tasty burgers.
All right, we'll see you guys later on. Thanks.